results?
Actually, all of them would be proposition only. We can't have operators. No, in propositional logic, we may have proposition and operators.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
So,
ma'am. They can all be propositions.
okay.
But what I meant was that not all propositions are the result of the operators.
Can you say an example?
அது வச்சு பண்ண முடியுமா கொடு அல்ல மைக் இருக்கா
Please,
மைக்
please
கடையில இல்ல
mute yourself. Others.
Ma'am, I'm not able to think of one. I'll think of one.
Yeah. Anyone else? Something? Pragna?
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Ma'am, if all animals eat non-vegetarian, like lion is an animal, so
We are
lion
not
eats.
talking about deductive, inductive reasoning. This is proposition.
P and Q implies R, no?
Yes.
All elements eat non-vegetarian. All lions
And
are.
the
So
the way you put it is different. Now you are coming to an deductive reasoning. Okay, the statement I understood. All animals are non-vegetarian, and lion is an animal. Then that's how you should tell now. You understood? It is P and Q implies R. That's what you're trying to bring out. So you should tell that way only. If all elements are all animals are non-vegetarian and lion is a animal, then lion is a non-vegetarian. Truth or false, we are not checking. We are just telling about proposition, that combination. Now you can say it is a propositional logic. It is just combination of proposition and the operators like and, or, etc. Okay.
Ma'am, can two propositions make up a propositional logic?
Yeah, only if it is connected by some variable, I mean operators, right?
Like, can this be an example? Like, she's a girl and she wore a sari. So,
Already you told and, right? It's a variable, it's an operator. So there are two proposition and an operator now. Yeah.
Can this be an example? 50 is divisible by 5 as a proposition. And the propositional logic is the product of 10 and 5 is 50.
Not exactly. The product of 5 and 10 is, so 10 itself is not a proposition. Each, like when you say something and something, both that, like left side and right side, what you told should be a proposition. Only then it's a propositional logic. So when you
Okay.
said product of 5 and 10, good that you brought that example. So the example when I say product of 5 and 10 is 50, the product of 5 itself is not a proposition, and then 10 and is the operator. 10, the other side, is also not a proposition. So we can't say it's a propositional logic.
Okay, means the both ones should be first the
Yes,
proposition
all,
and
all,
drawing a
all should be
conclusion from
proposition.
those should be
If you are having
propositional.
some, yes, exactly. If you combine with some operators, every side of the operators, you should have propositions.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
Yes, Nitesh, we could have told if we have keyboard and mouse. That's what I told Nitesh just now. So when you say and something, something and something, then this. So each of these individually should be proposition. So when you say if we have keyboard and mouse, so which is the proposition there? We have keyboard and mouse became one proposition. We can operate computer well became another proposition. It's fine. If P then Q. That's what you told now. P implies Q. If we have keyboards, there is no and now. Okay, that and is not a and operator now. If we have keyboard and mouse, one proposition. We can operate computer well. That's another proposition, and it becomes like P implies Q. All electronics are from India, and my laptops. You guys are bringing this deductive reasoning here. We are just talking about P and Q, then R, or just P and Q, something like that. If all
Ma'am,
electronics, yeah.
Ma'am, so P and Q,
P and Q?
all these are propositional logics when P and Q are propositions.
Yes, yes, yes. When I say P and Q implies R or P implies Q, all these places P, Q, R, etc. are all propositions. Otherwise, it doesn't hold. Otherwise, it doesn't become propositional logic. So I think Bhavya, now it is more clear. Like say when you tell P and Q implies R, of course you have told examples, but every example when you say each of these should be proposition itself. You have proposition and variable combination. You cannot have something which is not a proposition in that. Is it fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
మళ్ళా వస్తుంది.
See, after speaking, please mute yourself.
మళ్ళా వచ్చేది కాదు అది నాకేం లేదు.
Guys, after speaking to me, please mute yourself because you are not aware that there is background noise. Okay, so let us just start slowly with that. I had not started the recording actually because we were talking about something which is not today's class. I thought it was just a doubt, so I didn't.
Already started recording.
So mute yourself, students. Are you all able to see my screen? What are you seeing?
Yes, ma'am.
Problem solving.
Problem solving. Problem solving.
And is it full screen or?
Ma'am, it's perfect, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, okay, fine, thank you. So let us now just start the next topic, which is problem solving. So software perspective. So finally we are trying to come up with some software solutions. So we are just talking about that also in picture, okay? So let us see, just a second. Yeah, so so general problem solving is like when you have a problem, you try to come up with some solution, and we try to analyze what kind of solutions are possible and then come up with some solution. Similarly, software development also follows the same style. So major steps, if you have heard of software development, is analysis, design and implementation. Okay, so so analysis in the sense initial things. Anyway, it will come, we'll see that time. So there is something like stakeholders. Okay, so when I say stakeholders, it is like whoever is involved in that software development. Okay, so it can be the customer, it can be the user, it can be the software developer who is actually building the software. Now, of course, software developer, I think it's obvious, the team who is building the software. Now, who is this customer and who is this user? Are they the same? Or do you feel there is any difference? Okay, let me put it this way. Let me give you an example and you guys tell me who would be the customer, who would be the user.
Ma'am, can I tell, ma'am?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So the customer is the person who buys the software from a company which designs it.
Yes.
And the stakeholder is a person.
No, user is the next question. Customer and user is my question.
Okay, user can be any like the person who's using the software. A customer is a person who buys the software for his customers to use it.
Okay, okay, correct. So what we are meaning is the customer is the person who is actually requesting for the software, and the user is finally the end user, like whoever uses the software. Like say for example, we have a IRCTC, isn't it? So we all book tickets long ago, maybe one and a half years ago. We used to always book tickets in IRCTC software. So the railway department would have actually requested, assume that it is built by TCS. Okay, so the railway department would have actually asked or requested some software companies. They would have met multiple teams and then maybe they would have come up with collaborated with TCS, and then they have requested for a software which can be used for booking and managing these railway reservations. isn't it? Which was actually a long time ago, which was actually done over the counter. Now they have asked to develop, later they requested the software people to develop a software which can be used by everyone. So here in this case, the railway department becomes the customer. Okay, and the user is everyone, like all of us who are actually using that IRCTC are the users. Is that clear? Now let me put another example. So like say for example, so TCS is the developer there, okay? TCS team who actually developed. Now say for example, there is a hospital, okay? The hospital management would be like, say for example, Manipal, okay? So they have a management team, isn't it? So the Manipal management has actually requested, say, Infosys, okay? So Infosys to build a software which is actually for the patients as well as for the doctors, also for the lab reports, etc. Like the patients can view their lab results and the comments made by the doctors, and say the doctors can view their patients' current status and all that. So, so they have asked the hospital management, the Manipal has asked the Infosys team to develop a software. Now, they have requested for the software, so they become the customer. So the Manipal team would be Manipal would be the customer for the Manipal hospitals would be the customers of this software, and the user would be all patients, the doctors, all of us would be the user for that particular software, and the developers would be, of course, the Infosys team who actually developed the software. Did you understand the difference? Customer is actually requesting for some software, and the actual users may not be them. Like say for example, a bank, okay, like we have SBI, okay. So the SBI, the banking team, the bank actually may not be good at developing softwares, isn't it? They're banking people. So they would request some industry, okay, some software team, company, like say HCL or some company, okay. So they interact with them and come up, request for a software. They would tell what is the requirements, what are the different functionalities or features, what they are looking for, and they would say that it should be developed within the, like say, 2 months, 3 months, etc. And they will tell the features what they are expecting. Okay. So of course they may also use the same software, but then it is actually developed for whom? The employees, that is the managers, the clerks, etc., to process the transaction. Also the users, also the other, like general public, who will actually do the transactions. So all of us would become the users of the software, and the people who have actually requested for it. So we would not, as a public, we would not have requested for a software. It is usually the bank who would be requesting for the particular software to the software team. So they would become the customer. The people who are actually using the software would become the users, and the team who is developing, of course, is the like HCL, Infosys, or whoever. Okay. So is it clear? You want me to repeat that? What is the difference? So we are all stakeholders, the customers, the users, the developers, all are stakeholders. Or whoever is there in picture in this full entire process of software development and the final usage, we are all part of that. So we are all stakeholders. Okay, we are having some, we are some way benefiting or using, etc., that software. Okay, so the customer, user, a developer, all are stakeholders. Okay, any confusion in this? You want me to repeat or give some other examples? Please raise your hands. So when I say please say, some are hesitant to say. Please raise your hand. So raising to, you want me to repeat, Nitish? That's what you are saying. You want me to give? So I am asking you
I
to
have a doubt.
raise. Yeah, just a second, Andrew. I am asking you to raise if you want me to repeat or give more examples. That's what you're raising for? Okay, okay. Fine. Thank you. Okay, yes, Anirudh, tell me.
Ma'am, does the stakeholder necessarily have to have a stock in that company or any kind of investment in that company?
Nothing like that. So
Okay.
Infosys now is a stakeholder, right?
Yes.
When they developed their software. So anybody who is somewhere relating to this software, maybe they are using it, maybe they are employees who would be actually using it, or maybe they have asked for developing it. or they have actually developed it. So somewhere they are related to the software. They're all kind of stakeholders.
Ma'am,
Hmm?
one more doubt, ma'am. Let's in this particular example only, ma'am.
Yes.
Let's say I don't use a bank account.
Okay.
Neither am I a developer nor a part of the customer.
Okay.
But I own stocks in Infosys. So do I indirectly become a stakeholder of the software?
No, no, no. Infosys is just developing the software. So you becoming, they are not having any, what is that? They just
They
like
don't.
say
Yes.
they are developing the software, but they are not putting their stocks in that bank or something, right? So
Okay.
they don't have a direct investment in that bank. If they have, maybe you are, but then otherwise no. Just because they
Okay.
developed a software for them, you are not a stakeholder. Just because you have some like even the other way, like some employee of Infosys who is not at all part of this team, okay, he's working in say Hyderabad and say he is not at all associated in this, he is also not a stakeholder. So even you
Okay.
are not a stakeholder in this case.
Got it, ma'am.
So okay, so people wanted more examples, so let me say this way. So for example, Amrita University, okay, so we have some already we have some university management system which we say AUMS, okay. So what if the features are not like so friendly or something, and we want more features? So we are trying to like say develop some new student software, like say a university management system software. We are asking some outside company, okay. So we have actually something called TBI, which is like say some startup companies are working here. So they work here, it's only the space provided by us, so we have something like that here going on. So what if we give to one of those companies, we request them to, the university is asking them to develop a new software for our university, okay. So the university is the customer, and the people, the company, the startup company which developed the software for us, they are actually the team, they are actually the developing team. And then finally, who are the users? The students, the librarian, the faculty, the warden, all of us would become the users, because we are actually finally going to use the software. So some may have a doubt, like say all products, software products. Now when I say products, it's software products, softwares, okay. So all the softwares don't come up like this. Like say for example, Facebook, we never asked somebody should develop Facebook, okay. So there we may not have customers. Some products are also that way, like they try to bring in new products thinking the interest of the general public. So somebody might feel that such a thing is not there, like say WhatsApp is not there. So what if we can develop something like this where people can communicate on a day-to-day basis, and it's just over the phone, so we can it's very free and easy to communicate, and people can even do WhatsApp call, etc. I mean the call, video, etc. through that. So somebody came up with that idea. So there it is not like somebody has requested for it and then build it. So it is out of, they have tried to bring in some new product which would actually have some market value. That is also there. But so there is no specific customer, but we have a development team and the users. Okay. But otherwise, generally, the cases where, like, say, when I said IRCTC, or when I said hospital management software, or when I said this university management system, etc., the people who are asking for the development of the software to the development team, they are the customers. The end users who are actually using the software, maybe they are also users, okay. So you can't say that, like say for example, our top managers, say the top say vice chancellor and then say dean, etc., have actually requested for the development of the software. Now they will also use the software, so you can't say that they are not users. They are also users, but then when they as a team, when they have requested, they become the customers. And the users means when you actually use the software, and the developers are actually, that is obvious, I guess. Okay. Is it clear? More better?
Ma'am, the customers also can use software.
Yes, yes, yes. That's what I said. Customer. So when he is using the system, he's an user. But So, but I have not asked for, like say I am a faculty here, but I have not requested for a university management software to be developed. So I cannot be a customer. I am a user. That way I said. The role what I take now is I am just a user. Maybe when a dean is requesting for the software, he is a stakeholder, customer. He interacts with the software development team and tells them what are the features expected, all those things. Then he is a customer. Now when he finally comes back as a faculty, if he is teaching a course and then entering marks, he is also a user. It can have, like, you may have a multiple roles also. Also, like, you can be a software developer also. Like say for example, we are asking some students, like say alumni, okay, to develop a software development, university management software. Or maybe we can say we want a library management software, which is not, maybe if it is not so good, we may ask one of your team, like say any student team, to develop. So you are actually, in future you will use this, but currently you are in the software development team, so you are also a user, you are also a developer also. That is also possible. But what role you play
All
then
of
is
them
your,
are stakeholders.
sorry, all of these are
All of
stakeholders.
these
Yes. Stakeholders are your customers, developers, and the users together. They are all stakeholders. Is it more clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ma'am,
So this is what, when we say please mute yourself, once you have said to me,
ma'am.
that should immediately come. Yeah, somebody is talking.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So the process is developer to customer to user. That's the whole cycle, right, ma'am?
Yeah, actually, yeah, the basic cycle would be that way. But there is, like say, something like a feedback given, etc. Like say the software is initially what happens is the customer and the development team would interact, and then they would tell the requirements properly, and then like what is the expectation. Okay, after which they would maybe give a prototype to us, like, which is not a full model but like a rough model, how the user interface looks, etc. Now once that is over, maybe they can take some feedback from the customer and then they improve on the model. That is possible. So like there is a feedback also, you can't just tell that. So once it is done, then maybe it will be delivered to the user. Sometimes there may be user surveys also, like it may be that non-functioning, not fully functioning part of the software may be delivered to the users also, and we may use and tell that these kind of features are not there, we are not happy, etc., and then they upload a new version of it. All these are possible. So but basically, if you see, it is that way. We interact, the customers interact with the software development team. They give the requirements, the development team will actually start the design, and then they will implement and deliver it to the customers and then the users. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So this is how it will be. So if you can see, like say sponsors current development. So some kind of developers would ask for certain needs, etc. Then that becomes the final software system, and then users. By always arrow is both way, because we need give input back, like the feedback back to the other person. Mute yourself. See, unmute only when you're speaking and immediately mute yourself. Okay. So then let us see what is next. Okay, so the relationship is software analysis is the problem definition. Okay, that is, we are defining what we are going to do. Okay, so when I say university management system, what are the components what we are going to have? So that entire problem should be well defined, then design, and then implementation. Okay. Significance of problem definition. So what is this problem definition and why we need that? So software analysis or problem definition, what happens there is, what tasks, so what are you expecting from the program or software? So what should be done? Like the software should do what all things. So that is, what are the tasks? That is actually well defined in the problem definition. Okay, so that becomes the software developer's goal. Okay. Implementation. So problem solution is like an algorithm or design, and implementation is your actual software. And finally, there is kind of testing or verification of the software which is developed. Okay. So when you say problem definition, start with the task of communicating with the customers and users to know what are their requirements. So that is actually a very extensive process. There is for CSE students, for software development, there is like an entire subject itself. And even when you join some IT companies, these steps are followed. So initially what happens is requirements gathering. So what are the features you expect from the system? Okay, so why it is required, for what purpose those features are required, all these kind of discussion would happen. Then these requirements are gathered, and then sometimes there would be some conflicting requirements by the customers. See, the users, the end users may not be like, say for example, you are developing an ATM machine and then some software in that, and then the actual users may be very naive users. You may not be knowing how to use the ATM. So when they say some requirement, only the developers will know actually whether it's a feasible requirement or not. So those kind of things also would come up. So just by gathering the requirements may not be sufficient. You will analyze the requirement. You, in the sense, the software development team. So what happens is the stated requirements, whether it is unclear, incomplete, and some requirements might be contradictory. Like say for example, uh, you are like, say in your class, there is a team who is trying to build a university management system. Okay, and you have interacted with all your users. Like say your users could be faculty, student, librarian, warden, and many others. Like say, and you, when you interacted with students, you got a feedback that they want to see the marks. Okay, you actually, for the end semester, you don't see marks, you will only see the grades. Okay, actually in our AMS. So what if the student has put a feature or asked for a requirement that I need to see even end semester marks. Now when it comes to, when you are taking the feedback, I mean input from the faculty, they would say that I don't want the students to see the end semester marks. So what happened? They have noted down, you have noted down, the team, software development team has noted down all the requirements, but you understood that these two requirements are actually contradictory. You can solve, I mean, you can give only one of these features. One person is telling that you don't want the marks to be visible. One team is telling that you need the marks to be visible, which is actually contradictory. So this is like obviously contradictory, but there will be cases where you may have to analyze to know whether some requirements are contradictory. Okay, so these kind of things, like, and some would be incomplete or ambiguous because they may not be knowing software at all. So they would tell in very naive ways. So sometimes it may be ambiguous. We don't know what actually that requirement is. So you need to analyze, again discuss with the customer or the user, and then come up with this thing. So then you have to record all the requirements, document. There are certain document formats like say SRS, software requirement specification, and other formats. There are diagrams, etc. what you will draw. So once you record all your documents, that is when you will actually get a clear idea of what you are actually going to do. Okay, so analysis needs customer and developer interaction, so that finally you are agreeing upon something. Okay, requirements document requires what. Okay, you have to be very uh, clear about that. Requirements document, when I say it is, importance is on what to be built. Okay, what are the features, how the what are the expectation from the software, and maybe you are using Java, we are using modules, all that is not important there. Requirements means what is to be built, what kind of software should be developed, that is the importance. How comes later. Okay, there is an example given. Your user requirements include 400 features. Okay, do you realize that no human would be able to use a product with that level of complexity? So he is telling, okay, better add easy to use. So one more feature has come, easy to use. So this is how it will become complex, like so many features, and then that becomes too complex also. Okay, so just to tell that. Now there is an example. Our class is till 11:35. Okay. Okay, let me start anyways. Like if we don't finish, we'll continue it in the next class. So there was a situation. Okay, it's a real story. It happened between the customer of General Motors and customer care executive. Okay, and the problem is vanilla ice cream that puzzles General Motors. Okay, it's an interesting problem. So a complaint was received by the Pontiac division of General Motors, some car, okay. So General Motors, so the complaint says this. This is the second time I have written to you and I don't blame you for not answering me because I sounded crazy. It seems my car has a problem with vanilla ice cream. This is the complaint, okay. So now he is explaining this is his car and this vanilla ice cream. So let us see what is his problem, okay. So a detailed description of that issue. So it is a fact that we have a tradition. So the customer is telling, okay, we have a tradition in our family to have ice cream for the dessert after the dinner each night, okay. So after dinner they go to go buy ice cream and have as a dessert. But the kind of ice cream varies every night. After we have eaten, the whole family votes on which kind of ice cream we should have. So every night after the dinner, they vote for an ice cream, some specific ice cream, majority, whoever, majority, whichever ice cream they get, that ice cream they'll go buy and have it, okay. And that customer, and I drive down to the store to get it, okay. It's also a fact that I recently purchased a new Pontiac, and since then my trips to the store have created a problem, okay. So new car is purchased, new vehicle he has purchased, and from then he is having some problem. So what is the problem? Every time he buys a vanilla ice cream, and when you start back from the store, like he starts back from the store, his car does not start, okay. So that is every day after dinner their family has a custom of having a sweet, a dessert, that is an ice cream. So every day he only goes and buys ice cream from the store, the same store. But what happens is whenever he buys vanilla ice cream, the car won't start. Okay, any other kind of ice cream, it is just fine. So now he is actually very serious. That is, no matter how silly it sounds, what is there about a Pontiac? Okay, that makes it not start when I get a vanilla ice cream and easy to start whenever I get any other kind. Okay, so this was a problem. So it may sound crazy, but actually it is a problem for the customer. Okay, because for the customer, he has brought a new car and now suddenly he is not able to buy the vanilla ice cream because his car does not start. Okay. General Motors, when they received the engineer who received that complaint, okay. So what could be the approach? Like, what would you do? Okay, that's what they are asking. So let us see what he did. So the engineer was surprised to be greeted by a successful, obviously well-educated man in a fine neighborhood. He had arranged, so they kept some meetings just after the dinner time, and he also went with him. Okay, he wanted to know what is happening. So that night it was vanilla ice cream, and sure, when they came back to the car, it didn't start. So that engineer of General Motors, he even went for like few more nights. The first night it was chocolate, the car started. The second night it was strawberry, the car started. Third night they ordered vanilla, the car failed to start. Okay. So then what happens? Now the engineer, being a logical man, he cannot think that the car is allergic to vanilla. Please mute yourself, all of you. So he cannot believe that there is some magic and all that. Okay. So there is something, some logic should be there. Okay. And you can't believe that a car is allergic to vanilla ice cream. Such things can't be a point for the engineer. Okay. So he is a logical man. So he wants to know what is the issue here. So now he started going with him every day and started to he started taking notes. Okay. Every minute thing, like the time of the day, type of the gas used, time to drive back and forth, everything. Okay. So one point what now he observed was when he went from the car to buy the vanilla, he than any other flavor, he took less time. Okay. Why is it that? That is because of the layout of the store. Vanilla ice cream was the best sold ice cream. So it was kept on a different region. Okay. So that is, it was in the front itself. So all others were in the back of the store, and the front of the store, there was a separate case where vanilla ice cream was kept. Okay. So what happened? It was quick to get if it is vanilla because it was there itself. If it was some other flavor, they will go behind, collect and bring. So it will take a little more time. Now the question for the engineer was why the car wouldn't start when it took less time. So now it is more clear. Time was an issue. Okay. Not the vanilla ice cream. So then the engineer came up with the answer, that is vapor lock. Okay, so what happened? So why vapor lock only when vanilla ice cream is purchased? So what is that? It was happening every night. What happened was extra time for the others. It took more time, like the person getting out of the car, going to that other the same store, but getting the ice cream and coming back were more time consuming than the vanilla ice when he bought vanilla ice cream. So what happened was, even for other cases, it was actually vapor lock was there. But what happened was, by the time he reached back, it took more time. So the engine was allowed to cool down sufficiently to start. Whereas when he took vanilla ice cream, please mute yourself. Somebody is unmuted. When the man got vanilla, the engine was still too hot, so for the vapor lock to dissipate. So what happened? Here it is solved. We can't say that car is allergic and just leave it there. We have to come up with a solution. Okay. So it's not an ice cream problem, but it's a computational thinking problem. Okay. We'll discuss it again tomorrow. It's an interesting problem. I just wanted to tell it. We'll discuss tomorrow. I think time up. If you have something, we'll maybe just.
Ma'am, one small
Yeah.
help.
Yeah.